Welcome back to Egan Brooks' Psychology channel. We're going to talk about setting goals for 2025, why they're actually overrated, and how to start creating change that actually lasts. The first thing we're going to talk about is 2024 and why it's so important to reflect. Now, our mind has this cognitive bias where we're obsessed about looking to the future, and I call it the if-then theory or the paradox, where if I achieve this in the future, then I'll feel something in my life and I'll be problem-free. It's because our mind is looking to minimize problems, but unfortunately, that's not what life's about. So, we're going to take 2024 as a learning opportunity. What are some of the experiences that you went through that shaped you? How did it make you feel? How can I cultivate more of the positive things that happened in my life? And how can I start to remove and distance myself from the things that drain me of energy? And also question it. Why? What part of me felt drained or energized from that particular experience? Because all of our experiences are just information into who we are. And if we can start to take, I guess, a little bit of awareness of that, then we can start to look for opportunities to create more of that in our life. So let's talk about the start. Often it's the start of the year, we have all this energy, New Year's resolutions, but only 9% of people keep their New Year's resolutions. So what does that tell you? It basically tells you that humans suck at making goals and sticking with them. And it's often because we create very external goals that aren't really for us. And often we don't realize how much time it's going to take. So I'm not just going to give you the simple advice such as start small and do the little things. I want to reframe the way you think about goals because I do think they're overrated. Goals are about putting you in the right direction. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But we're going to start with the start. What is your mindset going into 2025? Is it about sacrificing everything to achieve this one thing in the hopes that it's going to bring you this feeling of magic and completeness? Everything you need is actually right here in the present moment. We just have a lot of limiting beliefs and blocks. Fortunately, 2025 is the perfect opportunity to experiment. Start taking risks. Start to discover at our core who we are. And that is what my advice is going to be. Reframe the way you think about goals. Goals are ultimately not the thing that changes you. It's about the actions that you take on the way to those goals. The person you become is more important than the goal itself. How many things have you achieved that you've never taken a moment to pat yourself on the back for? How many goals did you give up on that ultimately became irrelevant? But how many opportunities were there in those moments to get a little bit more insight into who you are? So it's less about throwing the goals away, but reframing the way you think about them. Now let's go back to the start. Everyone's got motivation at the start of 2025. It's really easy to start, but then there'll be a turning point. And this is when we start to plateau. We start to stop doing the thing that we said we were going to do. And that's why I do believe it is important to start small and do something that you can maintain. But often the reason we don't maintain it is because we don't have a strong enough why. The purpose behind our pursuit is very inauthentic. And also because we are so far away from achieving the goal that it makes it feel like it's not possible to achieve. And ultimately, our mind starts to create and engineer new ways of cultivating that goal into our life. But as I said, who you become is more important. If you have a goal to lose 10 kilos, the person who has to lose 10 kilos needs to be committed, disciplined, has to keep showing up for a long period of time, has to learn more about food and their choices. And ultimately, those traits are what you're trying to bring into your life. You're trying to change the person that you are and not just achieve something and scrap it away. So when you realize that, you'll realize that the goal itself is quite arbitrary and just essentially a guiding point and a guiding star. The first thing, why do you have the goal in the first place? And if you're struggling, write down the goal. Let me give you an example. I might say, I want 100,000 YouTube subscribers. And you might say, what for? And I might give you a very surface level answer like, I want to be able to spread my messages more. What for? And then I might say, because I want to help people change their lives. What for? Because it gives me this feeling of satisfaction like nothing else has ever done before. Okay. Why? Why in particular is that? Because I know what it's like to not feel like you understand yourself and feel lost and stuck in this life, and to give that feeling to other people feels really authentic to me. Okay. Now, at the core, I've started to figure out what my values are. And what is that? Learning, because then I can share this wisdom to other people. Curiosity is a massive one. Growth. Now I'm starting to figure out at my core why I want the goal in the first place. But if I started something like, I want to have an 8-pack, you might say, what for? And you might give a surface level reason, like I want to be healthier. But then if you can do some honest soul searching and you have the right person ask you the questions, and you break that down, often it's because you want to feel good enough, or you want other people to perceive you in a particular way. And at the end of the day, that's a very fleeting thing. You achieve the thing, and this limiting belief that we have, let's say we have a limiting belief that not good enough. Let's say at the core, I don't believe I'm good enough as a human being. I don't believe that. And a lot of people, unfortunately, believe this. And what happens is, it starts to spread into all areas of our life. Our finances, our relationships, our social media, everything we do is somehow poisoned by this belief that we are not good enough. So our mind looks for something socially acceptable to remove this limiting belief. Abs. Once I have abs, then I will be good enough. But guess what? You break this down and whoop, another one pops up. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough whatever. And this cycle will repeat for their whole life. It'll just keep rinsing and repeating. But also, an obsession with more, even when you get the abs, it's not good enough because your mind is able to twist what it sees through the lens of this fear. And what my whole lesson here is, we're trying to become someone who is self-sufficient and not able to need something in order to generate the belief about themselves. And this is why goals, in my opinion, are overrated, because we lose sight of what is really important. And if you feel the passion in my voice, it's because I hate to see people keep chasing things that don't actually change at their core who they are. And that is what my mission is. So, when you get to this point and you want to give up, it's a good point to question, why do I even want this anyway? And if you start here, it's even better. But at this point, why? What is the benefit for me? What feeling am I after? Because it's who you become in this area that matters. The reason we plateau and don't see much change in our life is because we realize how far we are away from the goal. And we give up. What's the point? Why does it matter? I'm not good enough. When you realize that the steps you take every day towards this goal are what matter because it shapes you, and then you can start to reflect on the internal. How does the way I feel about myself change what I do? And that is what matters. Life, a bunch of experiments. And 2025 is a clean slate, a mental blank canvas to regenerate, reinvent yourself, start from scratch. But we don't start from scratch, and that's the reality. We are at our core, there's a lot that we know about ourselves. And the more you can experiment, the more you can start to reflect, how does that make me feel? Why do I want that feeling? Why do I want that goal? Break it down. Ask yourself the question, why? Keep breaking it down. And at the core, you might be able to find a really authentic reason. So, take risks. That's one of my big things. Take risks, 2025. We only call it a risk because we believe we have something to lose. What if I told you you lose a part of your soul and yourself when you give up on your dreams to chase the security of what you think is best for you? And now that sounds like rubbish, but the reality, what I'm saying is, you only see what is visible, but you don't see the future regret that starts to slowly build up over time. You're going to look back in 5 years and think, fuck, I wish I did it. Who you become is more important, which means even if you don't achieve this big goal that you set, it doesn't matter because you will change. Then the goal will probably disappear because you realize it might not have been very authentic or meaningful. And suddenly you've elevated your level of personal growth. You are at this point now, and you're able to see, it's getting a bit messy, this drawing, but you're able to see everything here with so much more clarity. because as you have evolved, your values have become more clear, the way that you see yourself and your past changes, and then suddenly it becomes clear. A goal is directional, not causational to how I feel. So, the last point I'm going to say is follow the energy. That's what life should be more about. Follow the things that bring that sense of freedom and flow. What drops your shoulders? And for me, it's the feeling I get from inspiring and educating others, because I know what it's like to feel like the world does not make sense. I know what it's like to feel like you don't know what the fuck is going on in your head and you don't know how to feel good about yourself. And this is my mission. So I implore you to start yours, because I know what it feels like to be at one point, and now I know what it feels like to be on this journey. And I've set big goals for this year, but who I've become in the last year by taking the steps every single day is what I'm proud of. Some of these goals I didn't hit. Does it matter? I don't even think about them anymore because I can't even remember them. But the steps I took every single day is what shaped me, and that is what matters. So, 2025. The time is going to go like that, and it'll be the end of the year. You won't regret investing into yourself. So, take some of these things into the next year. I believe in you.